Why did Poland go from autocratic slide under law and justice party to dramatic democratic restoration in 2023 election? Is this the only European country that reversed democratic backsliding after 8 years of court packing, media capture, and rule of law violations? What if I told you Polish GDP grew fastest in Europe during crisis years, yet average salary remains 1,000 euros while Western neighbors earn triple? And why did Donald Tusk's coalition victory give hope to Democrats worldwide that populist authoritarianism can be defeated at ballot box? Stick around, because what you're about to discover about Poland's democratic roller coaster reveals both how institutions erode under populist pressure and how citizens can reclaim them before a point of no return. 1. The backsliding years. Imagine you're a Polish voter in October 2015 watching election results. Law and Justice Party, known as PIS, wins absolute majority, promising to restore Poland's sovereignty and defend traditional Catholic values against liberal Brussels. Within months, they begin constitutional revolution eerily similar to Orban's Hungary. Supreme Court packed with loyalists, constitutional tribunal neutralized, public media transformed into government propaganda, prosecutor's office politicized. By 2017, Poland faces Article 7 proceedings from EU for rule of law violations. By 2019, Freedom House downgrades Poland from consolidated democracy to semi-consolidated democracy. PIS didn't stage coup, they legally dismantled checks and balances using parliamentary majority. In this video, we're exploring why Poland slid toward authoritarianism under Law and Justice Party. Between 2015 and 2023, how judicial reforms effectively ended judicial independence, creating constitutional crisis with EU. What happens when government turns public broadcaster into propaganda outlet, firing hundreds of journalists? Why, despite democratic erosion, Polish economy grew faster than Western Europe? And the dramatic 2023 election, where unified opposition defeated PIS, restoring hope for democratic revival. If you know someone who thinks democratic backsliding is irreversible, or wondering how Poland achieved what Hungary couldn't, share this video and subscribe. The judicial capture was systematic. PIS created National Council of Judiciary, packed with party loyalists who appointed new judges. Disciplinary chamber established to punish judges who ruled against government. Supreme Court expanded with PIS appointees. Constitutional Tribunal paralyzed, then packed. Independent judges faced harassment, removal, early retirement. Rule of law transformed into rule by law. Subscribe now and drop whether your country experienced similar democratic erosion in the comments. The media takeover was comprehensive. Public broadcaster TVP converted into government mouthpiece. News coverage became pure propaganda. Opposition politicians portrayed as traitors and German agents. PIS presented as Poland's saviors. Private media faced hostile takeover attempts. Discovery Media Group threatened with forced sale to Polish owners. Thinly veiled attempt at government control through proxies. Press freedom ranking fell from 18th in 2015 to 64th by 2023. The cultural conservatism drove policy. Abortion near totally banned in 2021 after constitutional court ruling, sparking massive protests. LGBT-free zones declared by local governments in southern Poland. Gender studies programs removed from universities. Catholic nationalism elevated to official ideology. Poland positioned as defender of Christian. Europe against liberal decadence and Muslim immigration, despite minimal Muslim population. The historical memory laws, criminalizing certain speech about Polish role in Holocaust, passed in 2018. Law made it illegal to suggest Polish nation or state was complicit in Nazi crimes. International outcry forced amendment, but damage to Poland's reputation was done. Historical truth subordinated to nationalist narrative. The fiscal populism bought political support. PIS introduced generous child benefits, 500 zloty monthly per child, regardless of income. Minimum wage increased significantly. Pension supplements for retirees. These programs were genuinely popular and economically stimulative. Unlike Hungary's corruption-focused model, PIS combined institutional capture with welfare expansion, creating unusual authoritarian populism blend. So after examining systematic court packing, media propaganda, LGBT-free zones, abortion ban, and rule of law violations, triggering EU proceedings, was Poland under PIS still democracy, or had it crossed into authoritarianism? 2. The economic success paradox. Poland's economic performance during PIS years was paradoxically strong despite democratic backsliding. GDP grew 25% between 2015 and 2023. Unemployment fell from 7% to 3%. Minimum wage doubled from 1,500 to 3,600 zloty. Poland was fastest growing major economy in Europe during period of worst democratic erosion. The COVID recovery was remarkably strong, and while most European economies contracted sharply in 2020, Poland's decline was modest. Recovery was fastest in region. By 2022, GDP exceeded pre-pandemic level by 8%. Strong fiscal stimulus, child benefits maintaining consumer demand, and robust export sector drove growth. The infrastructure investment was massive. EU funds financed highways, rail modernization, urban development, Warsaw Metro expanded, high-speed rail planned, digital. Infrastructure improved. Visual evidence of development was everywhere. New roads, renovated city centers, modern train stations. Imagine you're a young Polish professional in Krakow in 2021. Your salary increased 30% in 3 years in zloty terms. Unemployment is low, jobs are plentiful. New shopping centers and office buildings rise across city. Highways connect previously isolated regions. Your parents receive generous pension supplements. Child benefits made having kids financially easier. Government's authoritarian moves trouble you, but economy feels genuinely better than under previous liberal government. This creates cognitive dissonance, prosperity under illiberal rule. The wage growth was real in local terms. Average salary rose from 4,000 zloty in 2015 to 7,000 in 2023. 75% increase sounds impressive until you convert to euros. In euro terms, wage increased from 1,000 euros to 1,500, only 50% growth because zloty weakened. Still significant improvement, but gap with Western Europe barely narrowed. The Western European comparison remains stark. Polish average salary 1,500 euros versus German 3,500. Polish minimum wage 800 euros versus German 2,100. Despite fastest growth in Europe, absolute gap in living standards didn't close much. Polish worker still earns 43% of German salary for equivalent work. The brain drain continued despite growth. Approximately 100,000 Poles emigrated annually during PIS years, mostly young educated workers seeking higher wages. They went to UK before Brexit, the Netherlands, Germany, Scandinavia. Polish doctors became German doctors, engineers became Dutch engineers. Even with wage growth at home, Western European salaries were double or triple Polish, levels making emigration financially rational. The fiscal sustainability questions emerged. Child benefits and pension supplements cost approximately 2% of GDP annually, funded partially by EU transfers, but also growing deficit. Public debt increased from 51% GDP in 2015 to 55% in 2023. Still manageable levels, but trajectory concerning. Generous welfare programs, politically popular but economically unsustainable without continued growth. The German dependence was structural. Poland's export success driven by integration into German supply chains. Polish factories assemble components for German manufacturing. BMW, Mercedes-VW operate plants in Poland. Germany is Poland's largest trading partner by far. Economic prosperity depends on Germany remaining strong and keeping Polish factories humming, vulnerable to any German downturn. The EU funding was critical. Poland received net 15 billion euros annually from EU budget, 10% of government spending. Infrastructure investments, agricultural subsidies, regional development, all heavily EU funded. Polish economic success story is partly transfer union success story. Prosperity tied to continued EU membership and fund access. If Poland grew faster than Western Europe, yet average salary still 43% of German levels, and if 100,000 educated Poles still emigrated annually seeking higher wages, and if prosperity depends on German supply chains and EU transfers, is economic success sustainable or temporary phenomenon? 3. The 2023 reversal. October 2023 election was a pivotal moment for Polish democracy. PIS won plurality with 35% of vote, but opposition coalition commanded majority. Donald Tusk's Civic Coalition, Third Way, and left-formed government ending 8 years of PIS rule. Victory demonstrated populist authoritarianism can be defeated at ballot box if opposition unites. The women's protests were a crucial mobilizing force. 2020 abortion ban sparked largest protests in solidarity in 1980s. Hundreds of thousands marched repeatedly. Women's rage over reproductive rights galvanized opposition. Young voters turned out in record numbers, specifically over abortion issue. The media resistance persisted. Despite pressure, private media maintained critical coverage. TVN24 news channel, owned by Discovery, faced government pressure but continued investigative journalism. Gazeta Wyborcza newspaper opposed PIS, despite harassment. Free media existed in diminished form, creating space for opposition to organize. The civil society remained vibrant. NGOs, universities, cultural institutions resisted government pressure. Protests were regular occurrence. Court battles challenged unconstitutional laws. Unlike Hungary, where civil society was crushed, Polish civil society remained strong enough to mobilize voters. Imagine you're a young Polish woman in Warsaw watching 2023 results. You protested abortion ban in 2021, you organized get out the vote efforts in 2023, you convinced friends to vote Tusk, despite him being an uninspiring candidate because defeating PIS was existential. When results show opposition won majority, you cry with relief. Democracy survived. Institutions damaged, but retrievable. Hope restored. The international pressure mattered. EU withheld 35 billion euros in recovery funds over rule of law violations. Loss. Of funding hurt government finances. Threat of further sanctions created domestic pressure. Unlike Hungary, which faces no consequences, Poland actually felt EU pressure because PIS lacked Poland's geographic leverage. The opposition unity was decisive. Previous elections saw opposition fragmented, allowing PIS to win with 37 to 40%. In 2023, Civic Coalition, Third Way and Left coordinated not to split vote. United Opposition commanded 54% versus PIS's 35%. Proving authoritarianism can be defeated if opposition overcomes differences. The restoration challenges are massive. Supreme Court remains packed with PIS appointees serving life terms. Constitutional Tribunal illegitimate but existing. Public media corrupted, requiring complete overhaul. Prosecutor's office politicized. Unwinding 8 years of institutional capture will take years and face constant legal challenges from PIS-appointed judges. The TVP takeover by New. Government was immediate priority. Within weeks of taking power, Tusk government placed state broadcaster into liquidation, fired management, began restoration of journalistic independence. PIS supporters cried coup, claimed censorship. Reality was restoration of public broadcaster to nonpartisan status after years as propaganda outlet. The judicial restoration is complicated. Cannot simply fire PIS-appointed judges as they have constitutional protections. Must work within system to gradually restore independence. Reform disciplinary chambers, restore improperly removed judges, change appointment procedures. Process will take years and face obstruction from PIS judicial appointees. The EU funds were unfrozen after new government took power. Brussels approved releasing 35 billion euros previously withheld. Economic boost for new government, but also validation that democratic restoration brings tangible benefits. Contrast with Hungary, where funds remain frozen, proves EU can enforce standards if member wants to comply. The precedent for Europe is significant. Poland proved democratic backsliding can be reversed through elections. Provides hope for Hungary, showing Orban's grip isn't permanent. Demonstrates that while institutions can be captured if media and civil society maintain space for opposition to organize, authoritarian populism can be defeated democratically. If opposition unified around shared commitment to democracy, defeated authoritarian populism at polls. And if women's protests over abortion mobilized historic turnout, and if new government immediately began restoring captured institutions, does Poland prove democratic backsliding is reversible before crossing point of no return? 4. The uncertain future. Poland faces critical juncture. Democratic restoration underway, but success not guaranteed. PIS maintains 35% support and controls presidency until 2025. Andrzej Duda can veto legislation complicating reforms. Constitutional Tribunal remains illegitimate. Supreme Court packed with loyalists. Institutional restoration requires sustained effort over years. The economic challenges mount. Child benefits costing 2% GDP are popular but expensive. Cannot be easily cut without political backlash. Pension supplements similarly untouchable. Fiscal space limited. EU funds help but create dependence. German economy slowing threatens Polish exports. Wage gap with West remains massive, driving continued brain drain. The demographic crisis looms. Birth rate 1.3 children per woman, despite child benefits. Population declining, workforce aging. By 2050, working age population will fall 25%. Pension system math becomes impossible. Immigration from Ukraine helps short-term but not long-term solution. Structural demographic collapse locked in. The geopolitical pressures intensify. War in Ukraine on Poland's eastern border creates security concerns and refugee burden. Poland hosts over 1 million Ukrainian refugees. Defense spending increased to 4% GDP, necessary given Russian threat but strains budget. Energy dependence on Russia eliminated post-invasion, but transition costs high. The political polarization remains severe. PIS voters view Tusk government as illegitimate German agents. Tusk voters view PS as authoritarian threat. Deep cultural divide between cosmopolitan cities and conservative countryside. Similar polarization that paralyzed United States. Consensus politics difficult when 35% of electorate supports authoritarian nationalism. The scenarios ahead vary dramatically. Scenario 1, democratic consolidation. Tusk. Government successfully restores institutions, maintains economic growth, wins 2027 election with larger majority. PIS moderates or fragments. Poland rejoins democratic Europe as rule of law state. Brain drain slows as confidence returns. Scenario 2, partial restoration. Some institutions restored, but Constitutional Tribunal and Supreme Court remain compromised. PIS loses 2027 election narrowly, accepts defeat, maintains strong opposition presence. Poland achieves stable but imperfect democracy with persistent institutional weaknesses. Better than Hungary, worse than Czech Republic. Scenario 3, PIS returns. Economic downturn, refugee issues, or cultural backlash deliver PIS victory in 2027. They resume institutional capture from where they left off, having learned from mistakes. Second PIS term completes transformation to Hungarian model. Democratic window closes permanently. Scenario 4, permanent polarization. Country alternates between PIS and opposition every few elections. Each side undoes others' changes, creating policy instability. Institutions remain contested battlefield. Economy suffers from uncertainty. Poland becomes politically dysfunctional like contemporary United States. The EU relationship is critical. If Poland maintains democratic path, becomes key EU member, benefits from funds and influence. If backslides again, faces isolation like Hungary. Poland's size means its choice affects entire EU. Democratic Poland strengthens union. Authoritarian Poland threatens it. The wage convergence remains distant. Even with continued growth, reaching our German wage levels takes 30 to 40 years. Absolute gap barely narrowed during fastest growth period. Brain drain continues as Western Europe offers double wages. Unless something changes structurally, Poland remains middle-income country within rich bloc. Bottom line, Poland's 8 years of democratic backsliding under law and Justice Party with court-packing media capture abortion ban and rule of law violations, combined with paradoxical economic growth fastest in Europe, followed by a dramatic 2023 opposition victory restoring democracy, didn't happen by accident. They happened because PIS combined welfare populism with institutional capture, creating unusual authoritarian blend that worked economically but eroded democracy. Because women's protests over abortion mobilized historic turnout that defeated authoritarian populism. Because civil society and media maintained space for opposition to organize, proving backsliding is reversible, and because united opposition around shared democratic commitment can defeat divided authoritarians. For individuals, the choice is clearer: participate in democratic restoration while window remains open, or watch as institutions are captured permanently. Polish voters in 2023 chose democracy. Whether choice sticks depends on next 5 years of institutional repair and whether economic growth continues. Click the playlist in the card above to continue the journey. Next up, Romania's perpetual corruption proving some nations cannot escape kleptocratic patterns, followed by Czech Republic's stable success, showing not all post-communist states fail. That story continues now.